Hey guys, welcome back to this episode. The Spitfire is progressing. This is going to be a bit of a bitty video edited together. So what I'm going to show you just now is I've got the first rear lower sheeting on. It's drying up. I'm just going to show you a quick overview of how I've achieved that, and I'll come back and carry on, explain what I'm going to be doing next. Okay, so this is the Spitfire fuselage on close-up cam just now. If you can see there, we've got one half of the rear fuselage lower sheeting. In the previous video I showed that it was pre-curved. I soaked it in a hot bath for 15-20 minutes and then wrapped it around some aerosol cans, bands around that so it takes up the curve of the aerosol cans, and then let it dry. And it's come out pretty neat. It's fitted pretty well. Obviously there's been a bit of trimming to get it to fit nicely, but what we've got just now is, where are we? That is the joint line between, it's this line here on the other side. So we've got some, I think it's about 2.5mm by 5mm balsa overlap sections which have been glued in. The rest of it has all been pinned round, tacked in place with cyno, and then we've got wood glue going all the way around all the joints, holding it in place. The rubber bands there to keep it shape and keep it where I want it to be. Obviously there's dressmaker's pins holding it to the formers. I don't know where we can see that, not very well. So yeah, that's where it is just now, it's just gluing up. So the next side to do. Okay, so we've seen the sheeting's on. Next I've got to duplicate that, roll it the other way. It could be tricky because it can be less access. Obviously I've had the access into this side where the second sheeting should be, so I'm only going to have access through the top. So it might be a bit trickier, but it should be doable, shouldn't be a problem. There's going to be a bit of trimming to do, as this one was. Once I've got that on, I'm going to have to look and see what the next stage is. I'm desperate to get on with the wing, but there's not much more I can do on that until I've got more done on the fuselage. So I'm just going to press on. Be back soon. Okay, so last bit for just now on the Spitfire, for this part anyway. We've got the rear lower sheeting on. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. There's two splits, one just there and one that side as well. It 16th balsa isn't designed to go around that sort of tighter curve, so it did split, but I've run some glue into that. It's all going to be glass anyway, and I'll be able to sand it all down, sand it smooth. Need to trim up the ends here to neaten it all up with this firewall, because there's a block that goes in here to finish off this tail end. Joins quite neatly. I had to do a bit of trimming to get it all to fit in neatly with the existing wood. There is a bit of a lip one way or the other, so like here the balsa's low, plies high, and there the balsa's high, plies low, so it's going to take a bit of sanding. But there's a joining piece on the inside all the way along, which you can see it's overlapping these sides, so it's up this level, and it's also down at this level as well, so it's across this side and this side. Top sheeting has been put on as well. That wasn't quite so difficult. It's just butt glued up to here with the joining piece behind. Had to carefully line up where it was going to be, because there's another piece of sheeting that goes on here, and this forms the cockpit area. So in the designer's wisdom, they put a join in the piece of sheeting here. If it was me, I would have tried to get as much out of one sheet as possible to make it continuous, because this piece here is just a straight curve, there's no compound to it. So from here back, it'd have been fine, it would have formed all the way around, I reckon. So, as I video this top sheeting is gluing to the top, what do you want to call it, spine, and the formers inside. So you can see the glue still wet all in here. there is what appears to be a gap there, but it's not. It's the shape of the former. The only thing I've got to do once it dries now, obviously I've got to do some sanding and shaping, but you might be able to see there's a gap between the sheeting here and the top of the spine. This will get sanded round to give it a shape. I need to put a slither in there to fill that up. Probably most of it will get sanded off, but I want to put a slither of balsa in there to fair it in nicely, to give it a chance of being nicely rounded. So you might be able to see that all those edges are going to be taken off and rounded neatly. Light's all wrong for that. And it's the same the other side as well. So once this glue's dry, I'll glue another slither of balsa into that gap. And then really I think the next stage now, I have been having to think about it. What I might start doing is giving it a bit of a sand down, because the fairing, the rear fairing's got to come up here somewhere. I think it's actually up to that line. I've got to check. So to get that on, I want it all smooth. I want to do all this, like the rounding, all of the join lines and things like that. I want to get smooth before I put those fairings on. I've got to get this block on at the back here. It's a tailwheel support block. There's a slot in it. I don't know whether to fit a tailwheel or not, because it's not going to retract around like that. And there's another thing to get ripped off on the slope. I think now I can start doing the sheeting at the front. I don't think there's anything stopping me putting the sheeting on here, getting this bit all sheeted up. Put the extras. I can put the extra supports in here for so that's like something I can do later on. I think there's a big plastic moulding that goes over here. There's like a cowling that's removable, so I'm planning on having a receiver switch and everything in here to keep it all as far forward as possible. I have made this hole through. There was a hole sort of scribed in the firewall for what would have been your tank fittings to go through. I made that hole a bit lower down so that the servo wires can go through from the servo into this bay here. It does mean that I can make it easier for myself to get connections and everything, so I can keep all the way forwards but still have everything I need accessible. So yeah, it's getting there. It's not really starting to look more like a Spitfire, but it's starting to give it a bit more shape now. It's got a shape at the back end. It's rounded a bit and it's smoothed out. Obviously all of this you won't see once it's all been sanded and glass and painted and whatnot, but I need to cut these notches. I can see there's marks on there. That's where these snakes are going to come through at a nice angle to exit where I want them to. And then there's a block or something on there to support the tailplane. There's a tailplane seat and various other bits and pieces. But yeah, it's getting there. So I feel I might call it a day for this part of the video just now, and we'll come back in part 3 when I've got a bit more done and show you where we're up to. So if you like this sort of thing, click on the bottom corner, whichever side of the screen it is. You'll find out when I do the next part. If you haven't seen the previous parts, there should be a thing up the top corner round about now. You can click on and you can go and have a look, see where we got, how we got to this stage. But yeah, I'll catch you all again soon. Catch you later.